So you're in a collection lawsuit. A debt buyer has sued you in Alabama. You have a trial date and you're going to appear or your lawyer will appear, but you're wondering, will the collection lawyer show up or will they just skip it? Because maybe you've read online, maybe somebody told you, your second cousin 3 times removed, ex-wife's former boyfriend says, hey, the collection lawyer won't show up. So let's talk about, first of all, what happens if they do not show up, but you do. And then let's talk about, why they would not show up and is that very likely? So first of all, if you show up but the collection lawyer does not, there's really 2 things a judge can do. Number one, well, I guess we'll say 3. The judge could say, well, let me call the lawyer or get the secretary to call the lawyer, and maybe they're just delayed a few minutes. But let's assume it's not something like they're in the courtroom down the hall and they're going to be 5 minutes late. So 2 things the judge do. One, either continue the case and say, hey, come back in 6 weeks at our next trial date. I'm sure that they'll show up then. Or the judge may say, I'm going to dismiss the case. And then the judge has an option. She can dismiss it with prejudice, which means the case is over unless it gets appealed or the judge changes her mind, or without prejudice. Without prejudice, it's kind of like it was never filed. They can sue you again. So that's what will happen if you show up or your lawyer shows up, but the collection lawyer does not show up. So let's talk about why they would not show up. And I'll tell you, overall, it's very, very rare for a collection lawyer not to show up. Now, they may not personally show up. They may be Zarzar & Schwartz has sued you for LVNV or Midland Funding, and they may have what's called an appearance counsel show up, a lawyer to appear just for that case, just for that day. And there may be more than one case, but they're just for that county and that day. Or they may have another collection firm that says, hey, we'll cover your case down in Mobile. We're a collection firm in Mobile. We've got a case in Birmingham. Hey, Zarzar & Schwartz, will you cover our case in Birmingham? Now that all counts, okay? The judges are very fine with that. So here are the 3 things. So sometimes it's something's prevented the lawyer from getting there. I mean, you have car trouble. Your car breaks down, you're in a bad cell area, you get sick, something happens that is outside the lawyer's control, and they just literally could not be there. You're about to walk out the door to drive to court, your child falls and breaks his arm, and obviously you're not going to court, you're going to Children's Hospital or wherever you're going. So that's one thing. And normally you can call ahead, but some of these courts are hard to get a message to. So that's why sometimes if we go back to this slide, this first option, the judge may just say, well, I'm sure something happened. Let's reset it. So that's one option. Another option is a calendaring mistake, okay, where you can have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of cases as a collection lawyer. And so you think that this case is set next week. It's really set today. Okay, you looked at your calendar wrong. It was put on the calendar wrong. And so again, if you make that mistake and you tell the court about that, usually they will undo if there's a dismissal. Now, there is a third option, and sometimes the collection lawyer just knows, I cannot win this. There's nothing I can do. I don't really want to drive 3 hours to something I know I'm going to lose at. And sometimes we forget this. People do not like to lose. Sometimes people say, oh, well, what the collection lawyers don't care. No, they care. They want to win every case. Okay, now this is very rare that this happens, but occasionally it will happen. So what should you expect? Should you expect the lawyer to show up or not show up? Well, my suggestion is you need to expect that they'll show up. You need to be prepared for the collection lawyer to show up. And you don't want to base your strategy on your opponent not showing up. And look, if you're ready, you're prepared, and you are there or your lawyer's there, and the other side doesn't appear, well, then you're in great shape. But you don't want to go into this saying, oh, well, I know that collection lawyer will not drive to so-and-so place for $750 lawsuit. Maybe they will. Maybe they have 12 other cases set that same day. So don't make your strategy based on that. You need a better strategy. And you need to understand the other side, the collection side, their weaknesses, to have the best possible chance at victory. Okay, that's what we're looking for. Now, I'll say this. Don't think about whether or not this is fair. Okay, this is reality. It's sort of like gravity can be unfair, right? You can be the world's perfect person about to cure cancer and you slip and fall off a building. Well, it's sort of unfair for gravity to, pull you into the earth. But that's just the reality. So look, you have to show up or your lawyer has to show up. If you are pro se, in other words, you don't have a lawyer and you don't show up, you usually don't get another chance. Typically, the judge doesn't say, well, I see this unrepresented person did not show up. Let's reset the trial. They normally don't do that. If you have a lawyer, then you got to talk to your lawyer about whether it makes sense for you to be at trial or not. Typically, we do not have our clients at trial, but that's a strategic decision to make with your lawyer, understanding your state laws, your judge, your court, the other side. And so with this, I just wanted to tell you, at least in Alabama, which is what this video is for, do not expect the collection lawyer to skip trial. Okay, that is a very unusual thing. Expect them to be there. Now, whether they have their witness there, that's a totally different matter, okay? But the lawyer will be there, or a lawyer will be there for Midland Funding, Capital One, Portfolio Recovery, whoever it might be. And you need to be there, or your lawyer needs to be there. So I hope this is helpful, and I will look to chat with you guys in the next video. Have a good one. Bye-bye.